Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am here to do a quick original book tag by Eric at Break Even Books. He did a Loki book tag, so that's very exciting. My husband and I just finished watching the Loki before this book tag came out, so thankfully I know a little bit more about it anyways. I of course know Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and a little bit that you see with him and Thor, but now I've actually seen the show and that was very exciting. I don't have any major MCU memorabilia, paraphernalia, whatever you want to call it. I don't have anything, but I do have beside me here not Loki, but his brother Thor holding my stuff there. My Basset Hounds bookmarks I got from Reddit gifts a couple years ago. Anyways, I have 25 minutes before my kids get back from summer camp, so let's do this book tag really quick. So questions. Number 1, Mischief, a book with a mischievous character. So for that one, I picked The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Now there's been a little tiny bit of controversy with that book and within the indigenous community. I watched an interview with TJ Klune and I've watched one white woman talking about it, and I only came across it because one indigenous creator that I follow talked about it, but she hadn't yet read the book. She was just going based off what other people had said. So anyways, I encourage you to do your own research into The House in the Cerulean Sea. I won't get into it now, but my main thought is, I'm not indigenous, I can't speak on that, but reading his book, you would have no idea where his inspiration came from, and also that artists and authors and stuff get inspiration from all over the place. So did he intend to be hurtful with what he was writing? I don't know. I can't say that. I don't know where his mind or his heart was when writing this book, but I don't think so. It doesn't come across that way. Anyways, a mischievous character within the House of the Cerulean Sea, I would say, there is a wyvern. It's the little dragon guy, but he doesn't have front legs. He just has back legs, but he's always stealing buttons and stuff like that. Super cute. I can't remember his name. And then there's also a troll in the book. There is a troll that is always trying to she is very quick to be I will kill you and bury you in my garden. And there's also a forest spirit and stuff like that. But any of the characters, any of the kids in the house would be kind of mischievous, but especially the troll and the wyvern. Super cute, super fun. Question number 2, variant 1, show a book you have more than one version of, or variant 2, show a book series where you have multiple book editions in the series. So I don't usually have more than one copy of a book, even if it's a well-loved book, unless it's falling apart and I want to buy a new copy, but I just don't have money or space on my shelves to have multiple editions of one book. And I'm not usually gifted 2 of the same book. Most people don't gift me books at all. So some people do. There's 2 or 3 people in my life that will give me books, but most people don't. So I don't have a lot of double copies, and I found one when I was cleaning up the kids' books, actually. Too Much Birthday by the Berenstein Bears. So this one, you can see it says 3.6 on it. I'm pretty sure my son took this from the school library back in 2020. So that one did not get returned. And it feels so much thicker than this one. I don't know why. But my friend got married 4 years ago now, coming up in September, on my son's 2nd birthday. And all 3 of my kids were part of her wedding party. She didn't have traditional flower girl or ring bearer. But I have 3 kids, so they held up 3 wooden, they each had a sign, and it said her husband, her fiance, husband-to-be's name was David, and it said, David, here comes your bride. So the 3 kids were going to walk down like that, and then my son was carrying your bride, and so my daughters went ahead, David, here comes, and then my son was no, and threw the sign and tried to run away. So I scooped him up, and I walked down the aisle with the sign. But anyways, because it was his birthday, his mom wanted, Erica, my friend's mom, wanted to buy gifts for the kids being in the bridal party. and being part of the wedding. And so she bought the girls each like nice, cute little like wedding books. And then yeah, she bought my son this one because it was his birthday. And then like a Curious George Happy Birthday book. Yeah, so this is a book we have 2 copies of. So I thought that was kind of funny. Prune, a book that you recently got rid of or are planning to get rid of. So actually I am currently reading, you know, it's a great current read when I pick this book for what I'm going to get rid of. It's called The Last Summer of You and Me by Anne Brashares. And I really liked, as a teenager, when it was my demographic, when I was the intended audience for it, I really liked The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And it's still, I haven't gone back and reread the books. I think I've reread them once. But I still enjoyed the movies. It's kind of like a comfort movie, fun, cute little girly movie to watch. And I haven't watched them in a while, but there was some parts in like the first movie that really hit really hard for me. Like I bawled my eyes out. It still will make me teary and stuff like that. So I really just have a connection to The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants books and movies. So I read one of her books last year, The Here and Now or something like that. And it was written very young, like young adult, but I think like a younger young adult. It was just like really obvious. It was about like the environment, and somebody traveled from like the future, like 2070 or something, and came back to like 2012 or something. And there was like this weird blood disease going on. It was killing everybody, and it was all our fault because we're terrible human beings who don't know how to take care of the planet, basically. But there's nothing wrong with like an environmental message. It was just like really obvious and in your face. And so wasn't a big fan of that. So I'm going to unhaul that book as well. But this book, I'm reading it for last for the Buzzwordathon this month. It's just okay. I don't think anyone's going to read this, but spoiler alert, there is a death in here. And like, I'm just like, that's sad. And it's somebody you should care about. And it should be sad. And it should be an impactful death. But I'm just like, that sucks. But it's not really like, there's like no plot to this book. And there's like no dialogue either. It's just all in their head. It's just them thinking about it. And I'm like, just have a conversation. Just talk. Because there's a bit of a romance in it as well. And I'm like, stop just thinking to yourselves about this stuff and have a conversation. And get on with it. And either end up in a relationship or don't. But just talk about it. Just, get out of your heads about it. It's driving me crazy. And it's not like young either. They are young, but they're 21 and 24 years old in this. There's 2 sisters, and then there's like this guy that's like their best friend that they grew up with, and he's known the one sister since she was born. So the older sister and that guy are 24, and then the younger sister's 21. So they're not even like, they're still young adults and not very maybe mature and making certain relationship decisions and stuff like that. But it's still just, I don't know, maybe it's just 30-year-old me who's been in a relationship for 14 years. So I'm just like, just talk to each other. But even like a lot of romance books will have like that miscommunication part, which can be annoying, but there's usually a little bit of like a reason behind it, and there's a little bit of explanation and stuff. But in here, there's just like nothing. Just nothing. All we're getting is just their thoughts and like no plot or anything like that. So I'm almost done. I got like 43 pages left, so I'm planning on finishing this today, and it will not be staying on my bookshelf. Enchantment, a book that had you under a spell, or a book you could not put down. So me and my husband are currently re-listening to Jurassic Park. So good. And the audiobook is like 14 hours long, and we listened to quite a bit of it on our trip to Drumheller. But I've read Jurassic Park before and loved it. My husband read it, enjoyed it, but he hasn't read the second one yet. So I wanted to re-listen to Jurassic Park as an audio together. And we have like less than 2.5 hours left of it. But like I said before, it's so hard for me and my husband to listen to an audiobook together just because the way our schedules work, plus children. But that's like one of those really fast-paced books where you're just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it's a thriller. Like, most of you have probably watched Jurassic Park, the movie. And it's just, you know, like dinosaurs rampaging and you're trying to get away from them. The book is kind of like that too. There's a lot more scenes with dinosaurs. But there's also more science and, I don't know, I wouldn't say there's more plot than just like Dinosaur Park gone wrong kind of thing. But there's just more dialogue and science and morality, like should we do this, should we not do this, just because we can, should we? But there's also like way more dinosaur scenes, so it's a really good thriller book. There's no like thriller mystery to it, right? It's just dinosaurs, but it's very fast-paced that way. And then the book I just finished before picking up the last summer is the newest Andy Weir, Project Hail Mary. This is another one that had me like, it's pretty thick, and I read it fairly quickly, and I was just like, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen? And then like I'd be reading it before bed, and I'm like, no, I'm too tired to stay awake, but I must know what happens. So definitely recommend this one as well. If you don't know Andy Weir or what he writes about, it is set in space. This guy wakes up, he's in a spaceship, and he doesn't know who he is. He can't remember anything, he has amnesia, and his two other astronauts that are with him are like in beds and they're dead. And he's like, why am I in space? What am I here for? How did they die? Why did I live? And then it's him like regaining back his memories and stuff and trying to save the planet from destruction. So from world ending, they call it the 6th extinction event, which we learned a little bit about when we went to Drumheller a few weeks ago about the 5 extinction events, and the 5th one was, I believe, the one that killed the dinosaurs was the latest one. So this one really good, highly recommend it, and it's funny too. I was laughing so much about it. Timekeepers. Name a series that has stood the test of time. Bonus points if it's a trilogy. So when Eric said this, I was like, The Hunger Games. And then he's like, The Hunger Games. So I was like, well, great. Now I actually have to think of another book. So for this one, I chose The Chronicles of Narnia. I have the 9 books, but I just picked up the first one off my shelf, which is The Magician's Nephew, which is kind of, most people consider The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe the first one. This is kind of like a prequel, but it says number 1 on it. I read this in my 20s. I didn't read it as a kid. I never grew up with it. And I also enjoyed the first Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe book, or the movie, and Voyage of the Dawn Trotter movie. I really like that one too. Prince Caspian, better as a book. I think this one has kind of stood the test of time and is a lot of people's childhood favorites. And I'm hoping that now my daughter is like 9, 9.5, and 7, going to be 8 soon. All my kids are growing up. Yeah, I just think this is, it's just one of those classic books that kids and adults enjoy. And my kids have watched the movies with us. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to read the books with them as well and enjoy it. So I don't know if I get like triple points because this is, how many books? 9 books? So it's more than a trilogy. It's like 3 trilogies. So triple the points, right? No, we're not even keeping score. Asgard, a book with royalty or godlike figures. So I don't read a lot of those kind of books, like a lot of fantasy or royal-based books. But I decided to go with like the only graphic novel I've read. And I've read one more by this guy, but Bone. Again, I have the whole series. There's also 9 in this series. This one is Out from Boneville, the first one, and then there's 9 in the series, and then a prequel. And then he has another trilogy that happens with other Bone characters that aren't in this. Yeah, so there is royalty in this. I won't talk about what it is, because that would be a spoiler. But this is a really fun book. This you can find in, well, Scholastic sells it, and it's in like the 9 to 12 range when you go to the bookstore. But again, I read this in my 20s. My husband, they were coming out in color, full color. So I bought them for my husband as they came out, and then I ended up reading them all. But it's just really fun. There's a dragon in it. The bad guys are like these rat creatures. So depending on your kids, like maybe 9 might be a little bit young, but the rat creatures are kind of creepy looking, but they're also cartoony. So just, you know, have a flip through it to know if it's something your kids would be scared by or not. My daughter really likes dragons and stuff. Oh, there's a bookmark in it, so maybe she got up to there. But this is another one we were hoping to read with our children. These are just really, really fun, and I don't read graphic novels ever, and this was like the first one. So hope maybe if you have a suggestion for graphic novels, maybe more adult graphic novels, or even children's ones with a good story or whatever, comment down below what other graphic novels you think I should read. Maybe I'll do that for a reading vlog one of these times. But Bone, really fun, funny, good story. And like I said, it covers 9 books, and like this is pretty thin, but as you get through the story more. Like, they get thick. So they're definitely, in those cases, they're a graphic novel. Not like a comic book. So, Royalty, Bone, super good. Want to reread it again. Daggers, a book that cut you deep and made you emotional. I always go back to Where the Red Fern Grows. I was asking my husband these questions. He doesn't read a lot, but he knows the books I've read and if I've cried through them. And this was a book I read in grade 7, I believe, and like bawled my eyes out because it's about a boy, he's about 12, who saves up his money. He works all summer, saves up his money, and it's like $25 to buy these 2 dogs. And they're hunting dogs, and he hunts with them, and they're coon dogs, so they hunt raccoons. I've mentioned this when I talked about this book before. I don't hunt at all. Like, I understand, I wouldn't hunt for sport, but I understand, like, hunting and, you know, using the animal for food and, you know, using the pelt for whatever, clothing, blankets, stuff like that. Like, I understand hunting, but he does raccoon hunting, so he sells the skins and stuff. So that part, like, 12-year-old boy who hunts with his dogs, like, how would a 12-year-old girl ever connect with that? It's his relationship with the dogs. And it's just, at the end, I was, like, bawling, and this one definitely cut deep emotionally. We read this in school and then watched the movie, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't watch the movie. I'm gonna be, like, bawling my eyes out in front of my whole class. But this was good, and I reread it a few years ago, and I probably cried again. But that one cuts deep, especially if you're connected to and love your animals, even if you're not a hunter. And then Illusion, a book you bought because you thought the cover was pretty, but it ended up being bad. So most books I buy, even if the cover is, like, beautiful, if the story doesn't sound interesting, I won't buy it. So I couldn't think of a single book that I have that has a beautiful cover that I read and I was kind of bored by. Like, even this, The Last Summer, the cover's nice. It's got, like, the beach and the ocean and stuff. Like, it's a nice cover, but I wouldn't necessarily buy it just because of the cover. I have a few books upstairs that I need to read, like The Firekeeper's Daughter, where I'm just, like, in love with that cover, but I'm hoping the book is good, because that's why I bought it. I didn't just buy it because of the cover. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for that one. But anyways, thank you to Eric at Break Even Books for doing this tag. It was really fun and quick and easy, even though I've been talking for over 20 minutes. That's just me, apparently. Oh, I dropped it on the dog. And yeah, it was really fun, and me and my husband really enjoyed Loki. So if you're into the Marvel universe and into the Netflix shows and stuff, or Disney shows, I definitely recommend it. We enjoyed the Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well, and WandaVision, all of that. We've been keeping up with it, and we just went to the movie theater again and saw the new Black Widow movie, which was really good. We enjoyed it, so definitely this was a tag made for me. Apparently I gotta make, like, a Jurassic Park tag or something, because I'm, like, obsessed with that book, especially since we're rereading it. Thanks for watching. Comment down below your answers to any of these questions. What's a book that kept you, like, enchanted? You just couldn't put it down. Do you have any books that you bought that are just beautiful and you don't want to get rid of them, but they were boring? Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!